is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Well, that was one hell of a 24-hour period for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Real Kyper and Bourne show.
You know, I enjoyed yesterday's energy so much on our show. Like, why can't we just have nice things? Why can't we just feel like that every day?
And no, we've done a lot of shows in the last 2 years.
Sure
I thought yesterday's show was perfect because, you know, outside of this show too, we've been around long enough to go through ebbs and flows of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. But I thought we captured a vibe in the city that couldn't compare to what probably the last 4, 5, 6 first rounds were. It was legit.
We had Joe Bowen on. We were watching people walk crossing the street outside our window in Leafs jersey. We had a vibe. No vibe today.
I'll tell you where the vibe has really changed in the last 24 hours. Okay. I know it's called the Real Kyper and Bourne show.
Yeah.
And there's no Sammy in the title.
Yeah.
But I'll give the guy a little bit of credit for helping set that vibe up for us.
It's something we need is the Leaf fan energy.
So let's go just jog back 24 hours ago and listen to our Sammy.
I want to talk to Leaf fans.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Talk to him.
No, don't do
Talk
this.
to him.
Don't go all sappy on me.
No, everybody's walking on goddamn eggshells. Stop it. Just believe in this group.
Leaf
Let's
fans,
go.
it's been 19 years
Tonight's the night.
since we've seen your team in the second round. Does it happen tonight?
To quote the top song from April 20th, 2004. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they lose, we'll see you on Monday. We're not coming in
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I'm not coming in.
He came in, folks.
We came in.
He came in. Now, Sammy's new vibe. Let's have a listen.
Boys, this is all my fault. Like, this is all my fault. Like,
I
I
agree.
had so much confidence. I tried to be Mr. This is different. I screwed it all up. It's over.
I know. I agree.
It's my fault.
The
It's my fault.
McKeeker PM. Like, yeah.
Back to groveling, boys. Back to panic.
You know, you want to know, you don't want to know how I knew we were in trouble. It was, I think, on the way home from yesterday's show. And I don't really like go and look a whole heck of a lot on social media.
Yeah.
But I will give this guy a ton of credit. It's Dr. Philosopher. Okay?
Okay.
And he says, Leafs don't win when we get feel-good Sammy. That's what he says. Leafs only win when we get pessimistic Sammy.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Boys, this is all my fault.
100% accurate.
Oh,
It's your fault.
It's a new day, Samwise Gamgee. How are you today, my man?
Listen, I don't know what to say. I am feeling it big time today. I took a shot yesterday. I took a shot. I went against my best beliefs. I went against whatever I thought I should do.
Yeah.
I woke up in the morning and I said, today is the day. I'm taking a risk. This is a different group. Sheldon, Keefe, we're different. Everyone, we're different. It's different. All I hear is goddamn different. Different, different, different. And I went and I sat on my couch last night, like all of Leafs Nation, and I watched the same damn hockey game I've watched in every
it's
elimination
all
game.
happening again here.
There you go. It's the exact same game I've watched for 11 straight. It's the exact same game.
He reminds me of Sheldon on All or Nothing in Montreal.
Yes.
Where
this is exactly right.
You went early. You went too early, Sammy.
No,
You went all in too early. And you've got nothing left for
done.
game 6 or game 7.
No, I'm tapped out.
You're tapped out.
I believed so hard in this group.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
the
do.
big speech?
Yeah. The make history and now's your chance and whatever. The one thing I've come to know about Sammy And he is an open-minded guy. He will hear other arguments, but he prefers things to be simple. Like it's a good goal, it's a bad goal, it's a good play, it's a bad play. You would prefer you're in, you're out. You don't sit on the fence very often. This Leafs team makes that really hard because they're good, but they lose.
Wants the
They're bad, but they
100-yard
win.
dash. Okay,
Yes. I think
we're not in a marathon, but we are in the 1,000 to 5,000 meter run here.
It's some sort of chess game. I can't even tell who's winning.
Not a marathon, but it's a heck of a lot more than what Sammy wants. Sammy wants the cup now.
I don't want the cup now. I want them to win one elimination game. It's not that much to ask. And the stats, they get worse.
They're atrocious.
I put him in the lineup yesterday or whatever, being like, it'd be fine. So now they're 0-11.
In elimination, potential series clinching games, 0-11.
Now 0-11, 23 goals for. They added to that last night. 3 more win-ins. There are 44 goals against. 2 unsuccessful power plays, so now 2 for 24. And their penalty kill went up a little bit because they had 2 successful penalty kills.
What? Like, it's all happening again
The
here.
other team's goalie's slightly better. You give up one you don't like. You can't quite finish on your chances.
Well, listen, we got pretty much 2 hours here to dive into it. Off the rails Friday, Sammy drove it right off.
Yeah.
As early as yesterday. We got Doug McLean in about 45 minutes. And then we go to Brian Bradley, ex-Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
He'll give us a scene setter down there. Does a terrific job on Lightning TV. It's going to be great to catch up with him as well. And let's start with our vibe was legitimate, as we said earlier.
Yes.
Why can't the current players have picked up on that vibe or the vibe that they started when they finished game 4? What's stopping them from a good start?
They had a good start, Kyper.
I didn't like the start.
The goal that went in.
No. I'm not talking about going up 1-0. I'm talking about the first 3 or 4 minutes.
Have they won an opening faceoff? I think they're 0 for 5.
Tampa took it to them in the first 3 or 4 minutes. They had the first 3 out of 4 shots. I thought a couple of them were legit. And, they got the 1-0 lead, but I didn't like their start, JB.
No. I don't know. I don't know exactly on that. Like, the one thing we talked about yesterday was the other team gets a vote. Like, you knew Tampa was not going to go quietly into the night, and it was going to be a grinded out sort of game. But, seeing the same way of like getting these chances and they're not going. And Nylander has that one in front of the net that sticks under Vasilevsky's pad, a bunch of scrambles in the crease. They can't find that one, and Vasilevsky's just good enough.
Happening again here.
Enough of this. Enough.
It was, and it did feel a little bit like we had seen. The one thing I think that's most commonly talked about today is the Leafs D and Leafs D pairs, which I know we'll get into, but I don't know. What did you think? What was your...
Yeah, I just think that they have trouble, and I think Austin Matthews said it that for whatever reason we didn't get off to a great start, and I'm like, well, what else do you need? You're closing out, failed attempts. Why can't you guys capture that emotion?
Yeah.
That
did you think they looked nervous again? It's the second time in this series where it looked like the same thing.
I don't know. Call it nerves. I don't know what it is, but it's. Yeah, just not them going for it. They just looked like they weren't ready to close this thing out.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, in game 2 of this series, they seemed to come out and instead of dumping, they'd hang on to it. They started to play like themselves a little bit, and I thought they looked more like themselves of old. My biggest complaint is just their inability to get out of their end and through the neutral zone, and to me, the D are killing them. They're killing them by being stationary. You talk about like the stretch passes, how much you hate that. They're trying to stretch it into traffic and getting nothing. So they got a couple guys in the press box who can skate it.
Well, okay, we'll go there because the focus is on Justin Hall and Mark Giordano.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks volumes to what you're saying is when you don't move your feet and you are looking for that stretch pass. I think it's easy for the D to step up and take that all away.
Yeah. And to be honest, unless you skate, the first forechecker doesn't have to come to you. He can just sag back, and then you're playing into a trap. They got 5 guys to your 4. Like, you have to draw someone to you by moving your feet. And, you know, I do have an article up on that today, Hall and Giordano, but it is all the D that need to get moving up the rink a little bit. Well, we talked to Sheldon a little bit, shall we?
All right, let's get an overview from Sheldon Keefe on our first Kyper's Clipper.
Well, it's a tight hockey game, you know. Score first in the game, and then they come right back. So that was tough. Just, you know, you have a chance to build some momentum and give that goal up, but it's obviously a very tight hockey game all the way through. Not a lot of offense going either way. Less for us. You know, they play hard in terms of the territorial advantage. It's, you know, it's like we've been talking about. It's one team's got to get on top of the other, and they've been able to get on top of us pretty consistently. And you know, we got to find our way through that.
Territorial advantage has been dominated by Tampa Bay.
It has
in this series.
Yeah,
and in many ways, Tampa. And we'll see how this thing finishes out, but their biggest regret might be that not being up 3-2 right now.
Yeah. You know, the thing about the games and the territorial advantage is that every game, the last 3, have started to tilt in the Leafs' favor when they trail and get aggressive. Like, it can't be lost on people that the second they start pushing for goals and taking chances, all of a sudden they play in Tampa Bay's end a lot more. And so this passive, don't make a mistake hockey is what's killing them. They're inviting Tampa out. They're giving them the puck back. I mean, you talk about, you're going to have to go take a game. And whether that's your star players going out there and saying, tonight's our night, it's my night, which hasn't happened, or the goaltender turning in, you know, having a one-off unbelievable game.
You know, just to your point about a different mindset when you're pushing like that, do they not have like 4 goals when the goalie's pulled?
Yeah, like dying
4
minutes goals.
Like, there's still 2 more games,
right?
And then they've got 4 goals on a 6-on-5.
Like push. You know,
unbelievable.
Getting
That's
pucks
got to be some sort of record in a series.
I don't know what it is, but it's really they have taken it to Tampa in third periods when they've been chasing the game. And
Justin Hall, Mark Giordano, -3 last night. 1 change or 2 changes?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It was a hard -3 too.
Yeah.
When you lose the game, they basically lost the game 3-2.
Listen,
it sticks out.
I said this right from the get-go on Mark Giordano. Smart hockey player, and he's been a great addition for so many ways and so many reasons. But to now ask him to come in and almost play like a top 4 at 40 years of age with foot speed being an issue, this is what I was worried about all along.
Yeah. No, you've been fully validated there. I mean, they're definitely the third pair right now, right? I mean, Shen and Riley have been wonderful, and McCabe and Brody, you know, fine. But it is interesting. So, you know, they have Timothy Liljegren. They do have Eric Gustafsson. Justin Hall is publicly on the hook. You know, he misses the haggle hit in the neutral zone going for the big hit. He turns the wrong way on Asamoah, who, you know, Samsonov should stop that one every single time, but still wrong pivot. So people are killing him. I think Gio, who we're talking about here, has had more struggles in the series otherwise. Hall on the PK, a lot of shot blocks. Steven Stamkos hasn't got a lick from that side. I know it's a lot harder to take out Gio, and I know that the handedness gets messed up if you do. So, I don't know, Kip. Like, people are saying 11-7 in my mentions. I don't think you want to go drastic like that. I don't know.
Let's go to Sheldon Keefe on Justin Hall.
Hi, Sheldon. Justin Hall's been on the ice for approximately 73% of the Lightning's goals this series. You know, what's behind the decision to keep going back to him, especially with a guy like Timothy Liljegren watching in the press box?
Well, I guess my first response would be whether he's been on the ice by himself in those situations. But I think the answer is not. He's not out there by himself in those situations when he's getting scored on. But you know, I think we need those guys to be better. You know, we need those guys to be better. They were involved in the goals here tonight. So I guess that's really all I would say. But at the same time, they've also done a good job for us at different times in this series.
You know, I don't love the way that some of it's been portrayed because, yeah, he's been on for 14 of 21 goals, which is 67%. But there's also 5 power play goals there, and he's been wonderful in the PK for them. So I'm going to take those 5 off of his record and say he's been on for 9 of 16 against, which is not great, but he also starts in the D zone more than anyone else, 25 times in 5 games, and he plays top lines. So it's not as lopsided as the numbers look.
I think he's just right now he's lost his confidence too.
For sure.
And that is a really important thing for some players more so than others. I find him emotional. Not that his play shows emotion, but I get a sense that he cares so much. He's one of those quiet guys that may not be very easy to read like others.
Yeah.
And it's more kind of, he keeps it really close and really tight.
His career's on the hook. He's a UFA. He's 29.
I do see him right now having this battle of believing that he can do things out there.
Yeah.
And like the miss on Hagel, right? That's a bad miss.
It's only recently, though, Kip, that he started trying to throw those big hits. Don't you agree? Like, since the deadline, he started looking for them.
And then they've asked him to. You know that they've called him in and said, you're a big guy.
Yeah.
Start playing big.
Yeah. For sure. It has been an issue. And so the question is then, do you think, so Hall definitely would deserve to come out, but do you think you're going to get better from Liljegren than Hall, who has been playing 20 minutes a night in these situations? Are you going to get better from Liljegren than Hall? Because that's the only question, right?
I do make the switch.
Yeah, I do too.
Right? I need a little bit of instilled energy.
And Gio stay in?
Gustafsson is below average defender. I'll sooner take
But he breaks it out.
Mark Giordano
Yeah.
being in the right place to block a shot.
Yeah.
And I'll take Mark Giordano's
Protecting a lead.
shuffling on the ice. Like, he shuffles.
Yeah.
He's not a skater.
Nice.
Right?
Not at this point.
So I'd sooner still have his IQ out there for at least being in on the right side of the puck than taking my chances on Gustafsson. And I get it. He can skate a puck out. But when he doesn't skate a puck out,
you can't have the big mistake.
I don't trust him defensively.
How can it be worse? They've been what the rankings of the D pairings in the playoffs.
Yeah, I can pull that up here.
They get
Sammy.
They're
not getting blown out. Okay,
they're getting blown out.
No, not on the scorecard, and that matters. Okay, don't tell me for 1 second there wasn't positive Sammy there when Austin scored, and it was like,
no,
come on,
no,
they were still a shot away.
I know,
from going into overtime.
Yeah, Gio shoots the one that Kerfoot tips in an OT the game prior. Like, he's not.
Like, I don't like their chances of keep pulling the goalie and coming back. And last night it caught up to them and bit them in the ass. But it's not like it's 6-2.
Yeah. You know, I've heard from all these people saying 11-7. Like, for one, like, Bunting's going back in. Full stop. You know, I don't need to even elaborate on that.
He acknowledged that.
Okay, great. So Bunting's going in. So you're already taking out one of Aston Reese or Lafferty. And if you go 11-7, they're both coming out, you know, which is a pretty substantial change. And all of a sudden it feels like you're getting desperate here and not, you know, you're up 3-2 in the series here. You're in a pretty good spot going into their building.
Just to finish off our discussion on the defense, did we do Keefe's in the D's inability to come out of their own
Break
zone?
the puck out? Not yet.
I want to hear this.
They're forechecking hard. They're on top of our guys really well. You know, I don't think it's necessarily a lack of ability from our players. It's they're gapped up real tight. Their D are very mobile, and they're up. They're holding the red line. It makes it a real challenge. Anytime that we've been able to get anything sustained on their half of the ice, we've broke out with ease pretty much. And anytime they've got time on our half, they're breaking out with ease. That's the way the series has gone. So we've got to be able to take advantage of our opportunities when we do have those exits.
Yeah, it's an issue.
Big time issue. And so that's the only reason I have some thoughts of Gustafsson is like, I feel like the run-in, the intimidation and set the tone part of the series is over. And they have such an advantage over Tampa Bay in that they have 2 NHL defensemen sitting in the press box. Like Gustafsson played 60 games at 22 minutes a night for Washington. The next best guy in Tampa is Hayden Fleury. You can drop 2 NHL D in and say, this one pair is struggling. We'll give him an extra night off. But it is a big change. So
is there any residual effect off the maroon hit on Giordano as well?
God, he got rocked.
He got rocked.
You could sell that too if you're trying to sell the scratching Giordano.
I thought 2-minute penalty was generous by the official.
Well, he didn't get a penalty for the hit, Kyper. He got a penalty for the rough. You didn't think he deserved one?
Not at that point. They're all kind of. I thought it was a hard playoff hit.
Oh, you mean at the buzzer in the numbers, driving his face into the glass?
No, I thought pretty clear boarding called to me. He's a vulnerable player.
Oh, they board.
Yeah.
I saw more shoulder on it.
No, Kyper, come on.
I'll show you pictures.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
But anyways, they could play off that, he may need some time off on that as well.
Yeah.
But let's play off hockey right now, Sammy. That's what that is, buddy.
For sure. He should have got a 2-minute penalty for boarding. And he got a 2-minute penalty for roughing. So,
I do think the refs kind of had some regret over the non-call, and that's why they pulled the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And enough with the talk with let's charge everybody with 5 minutes, and then we can look at it and go down to 2. It's like, no, how about you do your job and make the right call right away?
It is a bit of a cop-out to be just handing out 5.
Oh, it's horrible.
I said in the group when I first saw it, real speed, I was like, oh my God, that's a 5. And then I watched again and it wasn't a 5, but I thought it was a 2 for boarding. And they got 2 for roughing, so it ended up being 5.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
One thing that kind of bothered me a little bit, and we'll get into Samsonov and the goals that he let in. But again, if there's one beef I have with Sheldon Keefe a little bit, it's just making adjustments and when he does them, and sticking with Tavares, with Marner up until 6.5 minutes left at a 3-1 score. Sheldon, too late.
It was just that game they went to it, right? That's the first game they've been together. Yes.
You're talking about Marner?
Tavares and Marner, yeah.
They made the adjustment.
End of game 4.
End of game 4.
Yeah.
And then they stuck with it, yeah.
I don't know. I hear complaints kept very common. People call him over tinkerer, too quick to tinker. From you, it's not quick to tinker enough.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone when you don't win.
You had Vasilevsky going hard. You got to load up.
Yeah.
The only threat out there, pure threat as a line, is Marner and Matthews. That's it. Everything else is spread out.
Kip, they have 20-some goals this year. The most of any team in the playoffs.
Tavares is struggling. You know why Marner's with Tavares? So he can to cover him up.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not
the job isn't to get Marner points. Marner's a great player who can make Tavares
points.
better.
Get goals. Win the game.
They have a ton of points and have won games. I think Tavares looked good last night because he has Marner's support.
See, they weren't a threat to me.
Yeah.
Matthews wasn't a threat to me until he tapped in an empty net goal.
Matthews was terrible.
Terrible.
He did nothing for me last night.
That's why you load up.
It's you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and to me it gives you 2
down
lines.
2-1, JB. You're not robbing anything. You're trying to get a goal.
2-1. It's not 6-1, Kip. Yeah, if you every time you go down a goal, you're changing lines. I mean, it's too aggressive.
You got to make adjustments. You got to read the tea leaves.
Those guys did go out, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander a couple of times in the game. Like they tried to take some shots of that kind of stuff, but. Yeah, I mean, listen, you didn't have many guys going last night. Good players for me. I don't have my book in front of me exactly, but McCabe was really good.
Big hits,
skated the puck. Riley is the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs in this round. And then up front, tough to find anyone who's particularly good. Ryan O'Reilly's good.
And listen, it's so easy for me now to just keep listening to everybody go, okay, Matthews and Marner got it. It's like, listen, this time of year, and it's not like Kucherov and Point are killing you.
No.
But last night's a prime example. Nick Paul again.
Yeah. Depth scoring.
Right?
Got to have good lines down the lineup. And then having that Nyes, Achari, Roar line is nice. I like that one.
So outside of Flexiel scoring the overtime goal, if you were to ask me just on merit alone, the guy that deserves to be out of the lineup for bunting, for me, is Kerfoot.
Yeah.
No, I got no problem with Kerfoot.
Nothing. You didn't get a thing out of him. He's standing around on key goals, and I don't know what that flip in the crowd was, but he did zero. But he's a popular guy, and they love him.
He's someone who can
in.
have some speed and keep them up through the neutral zone. Yarncrock's been worse than Kerfoot.
To your point there, Kipper, though, on that play, when they score the first goal after Hall tries to blow up Hagel, Kerfoot never even looked over his shoulder.
Oh, he's on the hook there. He's on the hook for sure.
Just staring right down at his feet.
You know how I feel about Yarncroc. He has no business being on a front line other than maybe spot duty, but he kills penalties.
Yeah.
So
Kerfoot does too.
And now you got Aston Reese, who hammers Hedman, and that reaction of following him to the bench was like gold television. To watch him in pain and grab the trainer and bring him over.
He must just be hurting so bad.
Sammy thinks he's a phony.
He must be hurting so bad. He's playing 35 minutes a night. He's their best player. God, he's just so hurt.
But you can't act like that.
Oh,
you can't act it. I'm
Hey.
sorry. But that guy defies logic.
You know who I liked last night? I like Nylander.
But you got to finish him off. Just let me finish on Hedman.
Yeah.
You got to finish him off.
I thought the same thing. No one else after that.
Who else is going in next? And at least Aston Reese has the ability to hit people still now, which I give him full credit because he's doing it. Like, this is a very important decision for Sheldon to get the right guy out of the lineup. And I'm not sure it's as simple as Aston Reese coming out.
Yeah, you know how they feel about Alex Kerfoot as a versatile guy that can do anything, kill, play 15 minutes, skate the puck up, whatever. Aston Reese is playing 8 minutes and runs into some people, but I don't think they'll take Kerfoot out. Looking at the lines for next game, interesting to think about where Bunting would go if you would put him back with Matthews, or if you keep Yarncroc there and then have like a Bunting, Ryan O'Reilly, Achari line. I like that. I like that line too. And then put Nyes in the top six, maybe Tavares,
Bunting, and
Achari, Bunting, and Ryan O'Reilly as a third line for you.
Yeah,
and that leaves you with.
I'm closer to Tavares on the left side with Ryan O'Reilly. I just load up too and shorten the bench.
Well, they load up in game one. They got
horses.
beat by 1,000.
Last night's an example though that Marner and Matthews should be double shifting, triple shifting. They should be. Last night they should have played. Like, there's some nights they're flirting with 28, 29 minutes. That should have been a night that they closed on those type of numbers.
I actually think that if you did do 11-7, you take out Aston Reese and Lafferty, Bunting's in, and then you're loaded. Like, of the 11 guys, you're looking at it's Yarncroc, Matthews, Nylander, Nyes, Tavares, Marner, O'Reilly, Bunting, Achari, Kampf. Like anyone on the ice, you love it.
And it's the easiest conversation to have, as opposed to pulling out a guy that you absolutely love in Gio or Hall, who they clearly have a very tight
Say
relationship
we're just
with.
going to add Liljegren.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay, Sammy, let's get
Yes.
to your favorite part.
Oh, God.
John Cooper.
God, do we have to?
We do.
Ugh.
Let's go to the first one on Cooper on his big win.
I said this in the beginning of the series. Don't bet against the guys, not that group. And I'm not saying this is going to, we've won this series. We won one game. And we're still have so far to go. But to come into this environment, and it was a phenomenal environment, and to play the way we did, we just, as I said a couple days ago, you know what? We're going back. We're going back to the rink, and that's exciting for us. But they dug their heels in tonight, and I think who really dug his heels in tonight was the goalie, and it's his name's come up a lot for various reasons over the last couple days, and I think he proved he can handle the high shots.
Sammy.
Oh, Mr. Smug-a-lug. Oh, my God.
You wait and hear this show if they beat Tampa and just let Sammy unload on Coop.
Listen, he's not like Vasilevsky. Like, we can have this conversation. Sure, he made some more saves than he had in the other games. It would be hard to make less saves than he did in the other games. But the Leafs had their chances to tie this game. They hit the post. They drifted a couple just wide. Matthews missed from this. Like, they had tons of chances.
For me, the defining moment in the game was Marner, Vasilevsky one-on-one.
Yeah, and it was not a good
And
attempt.
Not Mitch-like moves
He's got
at
that-
all.
Mitch's got that great deke.
The one where he
the-
stops hard on the forehand and brings it back, and he feels like he kind of rushed it a little bit.
But I think that was how the deception is that he meant like the quick pitch, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that's the idea there. Yeah,
But
Vasilevsky was good.
that was a statement
Yeah.
moment for
He
him.
stops to, people are talking about Vasilevsky's blocker. He makes a blocker save there. He makes one on Tavares out of the traffic. Nylander had a sneaky one at the end of
Yeah, he
regulation
sure
through
did.
the legs that Vasilevsky
sure
made and
did.
got a piece of. So, he did make some saves, sure.
But like he wasn't. That
No,
wasn't an otherworldly performance that people are like. Everyone in the media is like, "Oh, is he back?" It's like it's not like it was an otherworldly performance.
He was tracking.
He was fine.
He was
Like,
tracking.
Everyone wants him to like. All the media, like I see everybody down there tweeting, "Oh God, he's on. He's locked in." Everybody wants it so bad for him to be this story that turns around. They're putting it out there. Cooper's talking about it. Sure, he was fine. He made 4 or 5 more saves
He's
than
up
he
to
had.
an 870 save
Good
percentage.
for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Like, oh, you heard all.
This
heard
is all
the
based
media.
on the fact that this man has done this before,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Yeah.
Didn't he go through maybe a month ago where he went 4-0 and gave up like 1 goal or something? Don't you remember that
I
stretch?
don't know. A month ago, he also gave up, lost 6 in a row or
I know,
something.
but
yeah,
it's the fact that he's been there before and done it.
of course.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, it's not like anyone's
Right?
talking like that if it's Grubauer or whatever. It's
Now, did Cooper leave the ice with one finger in the air, walking off as if he was saying, like,
that's one.
that's one?
I don't know.
I didn't see that.
That's somebody at the rink said that to me. I didn't see it myself, but
This guy.
does it sound like John
I didn't
Cooper?
realize we had another page of clips here. We got so much. We got so much stuff.
Okay, let's go right into getting the Leafs in that spot where Tampa Bay's crawling between the ears and Sammy's ears too. Let's have a listen.
John, you still trail in the series, but do you think you and your team are now in their heads?
Steve, that's my question.
I don't know, because I'm not in their locker room. But we've had this experience, our most recent playoff series, very similar circumstances. We went into Colorado in an unbelievable environment with the Stanley Cup on the line, not just a first round. And and we found a way to win, but we didn't find a win the next one. And you have to learn from those moments and how to not look at game 7. Like game 7 is irrelevant. Game 6 is all what matters. And it's about just winning one game. And we would be, shame on us if we think we're going to go home and that's going to be the difference for us. It's urgency and effort. That'll be the difference. And we need to bring that to game 6.
What a question by Steve Simmons.
Are you in their
Love
head?
it. Love it.
Yeah.
And I did get confirmation that he did leave the ice with one finger.
Giving it to the fans, like that's one.
That's one.
Ah, good. Good for you, John. God.
Well, you give him credit.
He's entered
got
the kitchen again, boys.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of how to do that. It is a unique art.
Yeah.
Where else do you want to go?
Well, we got a number of things here. It depends if we want to stay on Cooper or not. I am curious, just Keith, on their lineup changes because I haven't heard that clip, and it's a pretty important conversation, I think, before Saturday night, isn't it?
And that's from today. He spoke before he spoke after they had a meeting today. So you can.
Let's hear that one.
We're looking at everything here today, Steve. We got a couple things happening, with some of our players in terms of injuries and such that will play itself out throughout the day today and probably part of tomorrow. But yeah, we're looking at what all our options might be to give us the best opportunity to get going tomorrow.
Ooh, I heard Gio there.
Yes, of course.
A good friend of the show, Brent Gunning, just texted me. He said, "Can confirm Cooper walked off like he was Joe Namath after winning the Super Bowl last night."
It did rub people off the wrong way, for sure.
Yeah, he's a hero.
But he does that every day with you, so
He's a
I
hero.
don't know what
He's
the
just
big
a
deal
hero.
is.
He's a hero. Get it.
With Morgan going the way he's going, less of a need for Gustafsson.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good point. That does devalue the need.
It's not
when you-
power plays like
Power play's
struggling.
humming, yeah. Honestly, every time there's a loose puck, I'm rooting for the Leafs here, like openly rooting for the Leafs for the good of our show and our fan base. And every time there's a loose puck, I just hope it's 44 who shows up in the screen right now, which is very different from how it felt in season.
He has been unbelievable, fellas. Unbelievable.
Every time he touches it, he makes the right play right now. You know what? His skating too has made a big difference.
We've said that.
Yeah.
You just know when he's skating, and he can control the pace of play just with his feet alone, and his timing's better.
He has confidence. He can get that puck through. A couple times the puck gets behind him with the goalie pulled, and he out races a couple guys with body position. Like he's been really good.
The problem is that
there's one of them.
There's really just the one standout for going to another level right now.
I think McCabe has been there too. I mean, more recently, maybe not the whole series, but I think he's finding it a little bit. Last game, I thought he really skated the puck well, and he crumpled. Hagel
and Point.
Caught Point.
Yeah. What do you think of their play so far? Their top players.
Well, I mean, silent, right? Like that's actually a concern. How you get to this point, you're up 3-2. It's like Braden Point, Stamkos,
got
Kucherov.
one goal. He hasn't shot the puck in the net yet. Stamkos.
Only time I saw Kucherov, I think he tipped one.
He kicked it.
Oh yeah,
went off his body.
I saw Kucherov once last game when Hall took him into the boards, kind of in a rough play. But other than that, he was quiet too. So, the one thing that is standing out to me though more and more is that experienced fourth line of Tampa Bay's. There's still a problem, and the fourth line of the Leafs, as much as they're giving them something that they have lacked in years past, they can't. They're not doing what that fourth line's doing.
And Anthony Cirelli, like he's
gamer, right?
Yeah, gamer, and Austin's got to be better than him.
He's their version of oh my God, the guy from Montreal.
Deneau.
Yeah.
Deneau, thank you.
Philip Deneau.
Yeah. With more skill, more scoring ability. He's a great player. Clutch.
Okay. Where are you before we get going here, Samsonov? Listen,
crazy we haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah, I know. But we are right now. This time of year, you don't remember the saves you make. You remember the ones that you let in.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to know about Samsonov in this series.
Because I had his number written down the way I take my notes, 35 up arrow for like big saves, good save, good save, good save.
Doesn't
But
matter.
it doesn't matter. Two of them are so bad, so atrocious that it's just deflating.
What's the kid's name who scored his first goal?
Asimo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw that go in, I'm like, Jack Campbell, Game 7, Brendan Gallagher.
Was it Nieuwendyk on Lalim?
Worst goal I've ever let in my whole career.
Here's what Mike McKenna said. Samsonov got caught between post integrations. His instinct was telling him to go RVH, but his brain went into override mode. He also subconsciously was loading up on his right leg to advance of Asimov going cross crease, which never happened. So he's thinking like he's caught between all these things in his head and just kind of gets his legs tangled up.
Mike McKenna also said, who is a trusted friend of the show, not kidding when I say this, the Leafs need Wall. They may still get past the Tampa Bay Lightning without him between the pipes, but he's the best option they've got.
And I want to get into that too, because this is now you're flirting into that area where you have no safety net at all behind Samsonov. And if in fact the Leafs lose Game 6 and he lets a couple of goals in like he did in Game 5.
Yeah, you can't start Wall in Game 7.
You can't go to Wall.
You can't.
You know, it's too late and it's too much of a gamble. And yet he could still maybe find a way to win Game 7 just based on new energy, but it's too much of a risk.
So you would consider Wall Game 6 and Samsonov Game 7 if need be?
No, I would flip it. I would give Samsonov one more chance tomorrow night, and if he dumps,
you'd give Wall.
No. I'm saying you can't do that.
Okay.
But my point is they've left themselves vulnerable in this area.
Sure.
That should be.
That's been a theme of this show.
For a contending team that should have had two goalies that you have confidence in to win one hockey game, it's no longer there. And even if Samsonov goes in there and looks worse than he did in Game 5, you've left yourself no choice but to go to Samsonov one more time.
Fix it. That third goal, the Paul goal, like he actively shimmies his way out of the net.
I hated that goal more than I hated the second goal.
If he does nothing, it might hit him. He had to actively remove himself from the shooting lane. But he actually gets himself tangled with his own D.
It was freaking out. It's a bit of a confusing game, though, because after he lets in that terrible softie, the second one, he's really good for a long stretch.
He made a ton of great saves, but Kipper's making that exact point that sometimes your goaltender needs to be great all the way through and win you a hockey game.
Yeah, 100%, and he was not that.
If we go back to the 10 clinching games that they've lost, and I'm talking about this
11
group,
now, yeah.
No, but this group.
Okay. Oh, yeah, 10.
Right?
Yep.
This group's lost 10.
Gotcha.
In those 10 games, if you could have just made one switch in the position and took their opponent's goalie and put it in the Leaf net.
Yeah, they win like 8 of them.
How many?
Honestly, close to 7 or 8, probably.
For sure.
They've had the worst goalie worst goalie in every elimination game.
All these games are the goddamn same.
And not even close. Not even like by a wide margins.
Yeah.
Right? Like bad goals that you'll remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And it is, you just can't play the game assuming you're going to need the goalie to take it. So maybe you need to outplay them by 10% and not 1%.
Which is one of those clinching games where the Leafs have the first star be their goalie. That's it.
Well, I mean, yeah, not the clinching games. They had one this series.
No, clinching games.
Yes, I know.
First star.
Yeah.
Which is often the case for teams that advance.
Yeah. They certainly weren't the better team.
Okay, Sammy.
All right, so it's time for playoff picks presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds. And this is one where I have completely looked at the panic mode side of things. If you are interested in another happiness hedge, your price for the Bolts to win this series has gone way down. It's now at plus 325. Heading into the game yesterday, it was at plus 900. So you've lost a little bit of value there, but still a good happiness hedge available. And I had to look at this because I hate myself, basically. But Tampa Tampa now is 40-1 to win Stanley Cup. So if they happen to find a way to come back and rally in this, and you look at the way the Eastern Conference is and how Boston, like, you could make worse bets than that. So just putting that out there. Kraken, pretty sizable home dog tonight. If you think they're close, if they close out the banged up Avs, getting a pretty good price at plus 135, and they're on home ice. Avs have been bad. So I don't know how you guys lean in that one, but I don't think the Avs have another punch.
I got some thoughts on these. The idea that Tampa's 40-1 to win the Stanley Cup, I don't think this Tampa team's very good, guys.
Okay.
I know that I don't think they've got it to go 4 rounds in them. Like, the Leafs need to beat this team because I don't think they're playing a very fast team. I don't think they're playing a team with a great defense. I don't think they got any excuses.
They're beatable.
They're beatable. This is a beatable hockey club.
I agree with that.
If the Leafs lose this series, they will have beaten themselves.
100%. And I like the home dog in Seattle at plus 135.
Yes.
The other one tonight, Carolina's plus money on Bet365. They're plus 100.
Speaking of dog, I'm going with that dog that sits at the top of the stairs.
Oh, my God.
And he bounces the ball into 2 baskets.
Yes.
And he's got Tampa winning game 6.
The Corgi, whatever that dog's name is, God bless him, has nailed every game so far.
Yes, he hits like a beach ball into a Tampa or a Toronto basket. He hit 7 balls. He is 5 for 5 and calling it. He has Tampa winning game 6 and the Leafs in game 7.
I'd rather take his advice than yours.
That's right. Advanced Corgi metrics here.
Last one quickly before we go. Bruins tonight with a chance to close it out if you think they're going to do it. Bruins with a Pasternak goal and a Taylor Hall point pays plus 375. And
tempting.
There you go.
All right.
And that's been Playoff Picks presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds, fellas.
Former NHL president, GM, and head coach Doug MacLean. It is off the rails Friday. No better guy to drive it off the cliff for us. Doug MacLean. And if you give us a thumbs up on the show, we love it. Love bringing you guys this show daily. Give us a rating and review also if you get a chance. Back after these words with Doug MacLean.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
I am kind of nervous a little bit on our next guest on this Friday because I don't know where he's going to go.
I'm sure he greatly supports the Leafs' effort so far and believes they'll succeed tomorrow.
All right, let's bring him in. Doug McLean, from pickleball to the Leafs, with a game last night, Mac, where everybody just felt the vibes that this one was different, and they got a whole lot of the same. Is that the way you saw it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. Now I got an echo in my ear. Can you tell the intern to phone me back?
Yeah, we will. We will.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Ask him if it's better.
Gives us a break.
Yeah.
Is that good
better.
now?
Great.
All right. So listen, did the game come in the way of a nice dinner and a bottle of wine last night, or were you really focused?
You know what? I had a depressing night. As you know, I picked the Leafs to win, and as you know, Gerard Glant's a great friend of mine, lifelong friend.
Yeah,
and
he's in a bit of a pickle too.
Well, between flipping back and forth the two games, it became. I started to drink as the night went on. You know? It became unbearable. But I mean, listen, I look at the Leafs. I mean, seriously, guys, you guys have to be really nice and positive. That's your gig there, and that's your stick. But this team has been awful the last three games. They played 5 minutes 3 games ago and won, luckily. They played 8 minutes the game before and came back from a 4-1. Credit to them. But, I mean, to think they played a solid playoff game in the last 3 games is not accurate. They're lucky. They're in this series, let alone leading the series, because of the way they've ineffectively moved the puck out of their own end, the way they haven't really forechecked the defense that's beaten up and is not a great blue line after you go by Sergachev and the big boy, Hedman. I mean, if they had Chernak playing, if he was healthy, this might be a totally different series right now, boys. And Hedman healthy. So I'm nervous that, you know, it's going to be Vasilevsky and Samsonov in a 2 out of 3. And Vasilevsky has not been very good. And Samsonov's been good and average. So this is frightening. And I mean, the Leafs still should win the series with the way the back end is on Tampa. That is not a Stanley Cup back end. And they don't forecheck them. They don't pressure that blue line. I don't get it. Anyway.
And so where does the fault lie, or where can they be better? Is this like a, hey, they need more out of their stars situation, or is this a, they need more out of the Hall and Giordano and the guys that people think of as a little bit less important?
Well, you know, you hate to see a pair go -3 in a game and everybody's ripping Hall. I mean, it's not just Hall. I mean, yeah, he's the guy that got beat. He's the guy that was -3. Giordano looks slow at 40 years of age. He should be slow at 40, but he still thinks the game. But, I mean, I'm not excited about the way the McCabe has moved the puck. I'm not excited about the way any of them have moved the puck out of their own. And Morgan Riley's played his tail off, and he's created offense and has done a good job scoring. But this team has not moved the puck out of their own, and their forwards on the breakouts have been abysmal. I mean, they're cheating coming out of their own end. When you cheat coming out of your own end, you cheat all the way down the ice. And, yeah, they need more. John Tavares, I mean, yeah. Anyway, I don't get this. Marner with Tavares. So you protect Tavares? You need Marner to protect $11 million guy? Are you kidding me? Put him with Matthews, where they excel. You've got a 3-1 series lead, and you put him with Tavares because you're scared Tavares can't play 5-on-5?
Mac,
I don't know. Is there no? Am I wrong or what?
Well, it depends if you want him to cover up for the guy makes $11 million, but you watch the games, Doug. He's not been great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, put a checker with them then to help them. Don't put your best player and affect your best player by putting them with them. Put a checker with them to do that job.
Mac, you went to a Stanley Cup final. How hard was it over that stretch of wanting to change your lineup, or, were there times when you were really upset at players for not performing? Like, what do? Do you pat them on the back and encourage them, or do you rip them? Like, what's Sheldon doing right now?
Well, you know what? You're up 3-2, so you're certainly not ripping them, but you make subtle changes in your lineup. I mean, you've got to address the defense situation, what you're going to do there, and he's got a couple of options that he's going to probably have to do. But then you're putting a guy in that hasn't played. That's the downside there. But up front, you subtly, continually throughout the playoffs make line changes and subtle line changes. But I think you typically tinker with the bottom of your lineup. If you get into this situation where you're tinkering with your top lines, I don't think it's healthy. And I think it shows a weakness with your group if you have to do that. So, you know what, I mean, you've had an unbelievable year with the way you've played your team. I think you've got to stick to the formula and not make panic moves. So does Bunting go back in the lineup? I mean, surely the God, he's learned a lesson, maybe not, but you've got to go with the most experienced lineup you can go with going into this next two games, because you're playing a Stanley Cup finalist, Stanley Cup champion, who feel pretty good about their games, the last three games. They don't feel good just about last night. They feel good about the last three games, the way they played overall throughout 60 minutes.
So does that mean you wouldn't put in Liljegren or Gustafsson and instead give Hall and Gio another shot as the experienced guys?
Oh no, I think you've got to consider Liljegren, and you've got to look at the 5-on-5 play and say, okay, 5-on-5 play, who's going to be better for you, Liljegren or Hall? Who's going to be the better player 5-on-5? Because that's got to be your number one focus. Yeah. And then you make your decision. I mean, they know them a lot better than me, but I think something's got to give. The Gustafsson, I mean, I didn't like him all year in Chicago. Or in Washington. I don't know what they saw this guy. I liked him a couple of years ago, but I sure didn't like him this year. So I don't know what he brings to the table. Has he even been around? I mean, I thought he went home or something.
We're talking to Doug MacLean, former NHL president, GM, and head coach. Mac, Justin brought this up yesterday, or no, actually 2 days ago, about the Bunting decision. I thought it was a no-brainer that the Leafs are rolling. It's 3-1, and he's not going in. And it ended up being a much deeper conversation with a lot of people split on him putting him back in the lineup or not. And I'm just wondering where you sat on that decision. Hindsight, of course, is 20/20, and maybe they could have used his 50 points in the lineup last night. But is this going to be one of those defining moments in this series, if it doesn't turn out well, where that could end up looking like a really bad decision?
No, I didn't have a problem with him coming out of the lineup last game. I mean, he had problems late in the season, didn't seem to learn his lesson, although maybe the most positive thing is he knocked one of their best defensemen out of the series. Dirty that it was, he knocked a guy out that really is hurting their back end. Because, as I said, this is not a Stanley Cup back end, in my opinion. So, that's the positive. But I think here's the bottom line. The kid just was suspended. He sat out. To me, if you think he's in your top 12, he should play. If you think he's in your top 12 players of what you have in your bench right now or in your dressing room, if he's one of the top 12, then he should play in the next game, because this is Keith and the Leafs' biggest game that they played in the last 5 years, this game on Saturday night. Forget all the rest of them that they lost. This is a monumental game in Tampa Bay where they can end the series. So they got to go with their best lineup they can possibly go with.
What is the deal, Doug, with this team's inability to get it done 11 times now going back to 2013? Call it 10 times going back the past 6 years in these elimination games. Like, is it a mental thing? Do you think they struggle with pressure for some reason?
That's really hard to say, because look at who has turned the games around for them when they didn't play very well in games 3 and 4. They were horrible in Tampa. They were horrible in Toronto, down 4-1, down late in the other game, and their stars came through and won it for them. Whether it's Morgan Riley, whether it's Matthews, whether it's Marner, whether it's making big plays, Ryan O'Reilly making big plays. Their stars really did come through for them. So it doesn't appear to be pressure, but I don't know. I mean, I am blown away that with that defense that Tampa's playing right now, with Radish, Public, Bogosian, and Cole as your 4 of your 6, that is not a good enough blue line to be able to handle the firepower of the Leafs. If they, I don't like the fact that the Leafs have not forechecked this group ferociously. But they're not really a forechecking team. Maybe that's why you need Bunting in there. You need some guys that are going to really take the forechecking level to another level and go hard after this back end. And they haven't done them. They've let them off the hook as far as I'm concerned. They've scored 4 or 5 goals from the point, guys. That's just luck. That's just shooting the puck and getting some luck because this defense can't move people away from the front of the net. Those were lucky goals, I thought. So we'll see what happens.
Mac, I want to talk to you about
Just one final thing. You look at the way the Leafs play with their skill, and you look at the way the New Jersey Devils play with their skill. I see a team that is fast in New Jersey. I see a team that shuts down the neutral zone, not allowing the Rangers of any speed because of the way they're playing the neutral zone, a trapping style system. And I see a back end of Marino, Siegenthaler, Hamilton, and Graves who move the puck like crazy out of their own end. And yet they're both similar skill.
The big blue line, too, back there for New Jersey.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about John Cooper. And I don't think I've ever, even when I played, maybe Keenan up here one year that we played against St. Louis, but I've never recalled a coach that loved probably coming into this market and holding court with the media. And he's good. I mean, we break down what he says, how he says it, and the message, the underlining theme, or whatever the case is. Mac, does it play at all into this series?
I think
or is it just noise?
No, I think the way he handles himself is something he's been since he coached in the North American League and through the USHL and through, where it's his confidence that's given him an NHL career. And I think he spreads an air of confidence among his group. Do they like everything he says in the dressing room? No, like every other coach. Do they like everything he says in the media? No, but they like the air of confidence. They like the fact that he says, hey, I wouldn't bet against this group going into last night's game. I would not bet against this group. And, Vasilevsky, the genius on Sportsnet there that said he can't stop shots from the point and high shots, all of a sudden he can catch a puck. Isn't that amazing? I love how he played that. I mean, Stevie Y and Cooper and Tampa must be so excited with those comments coming out of the desk in Sportsnet. Like, oh my God, I've never seen a head coach do that in my life. Anyway, crazy.
What are your thoughts, Doug, on
I even forget his name. What's his name?
Derek
Lalonde.
Oh yeah, Derek Lalonde. And Derek's a good guy. He's a nice guy, but come on. You want to be an analyst or you want to be a coach? Like, seriously.
What are your thoughts on what's at stake for the current coach of the Leafs and the general manager here?
Well, I thought he was getting a $5 million deal in Pittsburgh. I thought it was already done. That's what I thought. I don't know. This is the new NHL. Everybody has a job now before they're fired. You used to get fired and have to look for a job. Now you get jobs when you're still playing.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
I'm not sure that's the case there.
Oh, well, we'll see. Mm-hmm. I know. You know what the stake? Hey, look, they've done a good job. They've got a good team. They've played really hard. They cannot lose this series, boys. They cannot lose this series. They can. They got to win this series. And whether they survive or not, I don't care whether they survive or not. I mean, I think the Leafs deserve to win, and it'll be a sin if they don't win this series with a 3-1 lead against a beat-up. This isn't the Tampa Bay Lightning who have beaten them before. This is the beat-up, thinned-out Tampa Bay Lightning team. This isn't comparable to the team that beat them last year. Not even close.
Mac, just one more thought maybe on Sheldon. I mentioned to JB, I'm not sure he's buying into the fact that I thought, the in-game adjustments that coaches make this time of year and the importance of it and the timing of it can turn, it can turn a game around. Am I overplaying this?
I think in-game adjustments, I don't know about that as much as pre-game adjustments. I mean, how are you going to defend the neutral zone? How are you going to break the puck out of your own zone? What are you going to adjust to make your breakouts clean and quick and get your rush on and get some speed through the neutral zone? I think those are the adjustments that have to be critical, and line adjustments are always critical. In-game line adjustments, reading who's going, who's not going, and making some flips. And he's done that pretty effectively at times this year. I think that's what you're talking about, line adjustments. That's tip. You're not going to, you tweak a system, but you don't change a system in a game for the most part.
Are we going 7 in this series?
I think it'll go 7. I think it'll probably go 7. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I think it'll go 7. And
Sammy ain't going to make it. Our Sammy's not going to make it.
He's a nervous Nelly. He should get into another business. He panics when I got echoes in my earplugs, and he's I've never seen a guy so. He's like, I guess Elliott used to be devastated when one of his sources would get fired, and or Sammy, with the Leafs playing the way they are, or Jason or Bourne when the Islanders lose. I mean, people take things to heart, but Sammy's got to grow up. Grow some. He's got to grow some.
All right. You're good now? You got anything else? You talked Rangers. Anything else tickling your fancy out there?
Oh yeah. I'm reading today that the Ottawa Senators, who lose, I don't know, do they lose $20 million a year? I know Anthony Long would never tell me what they're losing because he used to tell me Arizona were making money when we used to interview him. They're worth $1 billion. Like, how are they worth $1 billion? Like, what? Somebody explain that to me. They don't make money.
Good question.
They got $400+ million in debt, and they need a new building, and they're worth $1 billion. Didn't Seattle go for $650 in a major city with a beautiful building? And I don't get how this. Gary is the best multiplier in the history of multipliers.
I got no comment.
JB, $1 billion.
You got any loose change over there, JB?
No, I think you know a couple
Senators?
of people that might have a few bucks. The old Commanders deal doesn't go through. You might know someone who can spare a bill.
Put a group together at Boca Vista there.
I couldn't put a group together to buy the Western Capitals in Summerside.
All right. Listen, always a pleasure, pal.
Look, go Leafs, and tell your producer
Sammy
just to relax, and grow some. See you later.
Thanks, Mac.
See you, bud.
All right. Doug McLean, former NHL president, Stanley Cup finalist with the Florida Panthers. Been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. Okay. Take a quick break. Brian Bradley, ex-NHLer, does a terrific job down in Florida covering the Panthers. We'll get his thoughts and the growing confidence of the Lightning. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, back after these words.
Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right, let's welcome in Brian Bradley, ex-NHLer. Does a terrific job down in Tampa Bay covering the Lightning. Brads, how are you, pal?
Good, good. Who's this, Nick or Justin?
This is Kyper, and I'm with Justin Bourne.
Kyper? Yeah, what's up, guys? How are you doing today? Yeah, I just got back into Tampa this afternoon. I wasn't with the team, but we were with some, on a Learjet flying back down, and that was a good game last night for the Lightning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's great as an ex-player, man. You've seen both sides of this town, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. You know what? The Leafs have a really good team. It's just, like I said, it's tough. The Lightning, they're a tough team. They're a tough team to put away because, they've had to go through their ups and downs, and they've had some great moments and not great moments. And, I think they learned a lot when they lost in 20, when they lost to Columbus 4 straight after having that super great record. And, that just changed the team somehow. And they learned how to win. And that's what it takes. Kyper, you played with the Rangers, your star players, your Messiers and Leaches, they got to step up when the big games count. That's when it all boils down to in playoff hockey.
Brian, how are the Lightning surviving, not just surviving, but thriving with a decor that's missing Eric Chernak and, Victor Hedman seems a little banged up. How are they hanging in there so well?
Yeah, you know what? It's a big loss. When you talk about Chernak, he was kind of like the Ryan McDonough. We had to let Ryan McDonough go to Nashville for that reason. And, Ryan McDonough is a great shot blocker. Sergachev and Chernak have learned so much from him. But we definitely miss a guy like that, not having both those guys in the lineup. And, Hedman's at 50% probably. We all know he's injured a bit. And, you can tell on the bench some of the shifts he's had. He's in pain and stuff. But, Victor Hedman at 50% is better than most guys at 100. He's kind of like the Ray Bourque or the Brian Leach or whoever you want to call it. He makes the team go. And, just to have him in the lineup, and, the guys look up to him. And, you can't replace a Victor Hedman or, like Cale Makar's in the NHL. They're just too good of players.
You mentioned star players this time of year, and it's not that Kucherov and Point have been horrible here, but their numbers don't reflect what other top players are doing, including Mitch Marner at 11 points. Yet, this time of year, it's about third and fourth liners as well. But should Leaf fans be a little nervous about these big guns, like getting it going here?
Well, you know what, Nick? I think they played pretty good. Like Stamkos has been not as good, and I think Kucherov and Point have been well. I don't know what's Point after that hit from Rhino or
Morgan Riley.
Morgan Riley. He kind of hasn't been the same, if you ask me. It's part of the game. He's probably playing injured. No one knows what it is. But when he went in the boards, I thought he was dead. I thought he broke his shoulder, broke his collarbone. He's done. And then to see him back on the ice is like, is that him out there right now? And but guys have injuries at the end of the day. And I think Mitch Marner and Matthews have played good in my books. I thought they played better last year. I know the numbers show they're doing well, but a lot of times it's second assists. And I look at the whole game and really playing good. Or Ryan O'Reilly to me has been outstanding for the Leafs as a pickup. And Samsonov's played well. But at the end of the day, the Leafs had a good opportunity to put us away last night. They didn't. And, it's going to be tough to knock Tampa out at home, especially after losing 2 straight. Their home record's been outstanding. And when you look at it realistically, guys, 5 out of 6 periods in Tampa, we really dominated the game. We lost both games. It's just, guy behind the thing.
Is that me or
is he? I didn't even get
we lose him.
I didn't get a boink.
No.
You want to try him again, Sammy? All right, we're gonna try to.
The gentleman. I hope we do get him back because he knows his stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen. Got a chance to play against him in junior with the London Knights. And then, he had a good career too as well. And a couple of years here in Toronto. But a good portion of that start in Tampa Bay had Brian Bradley's fingerprints all over it.
Yeah. And obviously been covering the team for some time now and has a pretty good sense for what makes him tick.
And he gets to ride on Lear jets.
That's nice. That's a nice perk for sure. It's interesting, though, having been able to see the team from the collapse against Columbus through the Stanley Cups and all that. It's crazy to me that the Leafs haven't taken that moment from their own disappointments. The whole, okay, what we did in the past didn't work. We need to be different. It's amazing that hurdle hasn't been cleared.
All right, let's welcome in Brian Bradley.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
No problem at all.
For some reason, the phone dropped on me back here in Tampa. But like I said, I think, when you look at everything, the guy who's played just okay, and, I agree with everybody, is Vasilevsky probably played his best game of the playoffs last night. He's been okay for us, you guys. Like, Nick, you had Richter and Ned and different goalies you played in the NHL, but Vazzy was so good for the last 3 years. And, I was at all the games, 1, 2, 3, 4. He played okay in all the games, not good at all. And, last night he made a huge save on Marner, made some big saves to keep us in the game, and that's what Vazzy does. But, he hasn't been as good, but you know what? He had a big game last night. Hopefully, he keeps going from there.
You got to follow up on Vazzy?
No, go ahead.
Okay, in terms of Brad's Vasilevsky and the impact he has, and I'm talking about on and off the ice here. Listen, we've played with some great goalies, both of us, and there are the goalies that you absolutely just leave alone, and they, for the most part, leave you alone. They just go and do their job, and that's enough. And then there's other ones that are more vocal and are more involved. And where does Vasilevsky sit for you? And I factor in his intensity, his passion, and, his willingness to get involved in that room.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think he's a vocal guy, Nick. You know what I mean? He's not one of those guys that's going to stand up. He's a workhorse. He's one of those goalies that never wants to get off the ice. Like, you literally John Cooper has to tell him to get off the ice. You just did 150 shots in practice, and he wants more. He just loves the game. He loves to compete. He loves to work. He's not a vocal guy. He's very quiet, if you ask me. You know what? I talked to him a few times. He doesn't say a lot, but, it doesn't mean he's not intense and ready to play. But at the end of the day, like I said, when you talk about, goaltending that, we played against in the day, he's not there yet, but his numbers at some point will be. Like, playing against Patrick Waugh, Dominic Hasek, or Marty Brodeur, you had to have your A game, because anytime you scored 2 or 3 goals, or in a game, and you had to score 3 against those guys, you weren't winning. It's hard to put a puck in the net against those guys. So, he's in that same kind of aura as those guys, but he's still got a long time left in his career. But, Vazzy is such a good goalie, but, maybe sometimes in everybody's career, they go through a little ups and downs. And this year's been really kind of an up and down year. There's been times Vazzy's been, oh my God, look at him. He looks amazing. There's other times it's like, what is, like, I don't understand. I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and that's, go ahead.
I just, go ahead if you have more on Vasilevsky. I was going to ask you about Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Cooper, he mentioned some stuff on Vasilevsky and how, he looked great. He's trying to kind of pump him up in the media and the quotes that we hear in Toronto. How much is Cooper calculated in terms of what he says? How much does he seem to thrive in the playoffs where he gets to kind of set the tone for his team?
Yeah, John's a great coach. His record speaks for itself, whether it's in, the USHL where he's played in Green Bay, won championships, in the American Hockey League where they won 28 straight games one season in the playoffs to win the championship, which to me is ridiculous to win 28 straight playoff games or whatever the number was. But the players love him. They love playing for him. He drives up his game plan. They execute it. He's not one of those coaches that yells and screams and says stuff. He if you make a mistake and you do it 3 times in a row, he's going to come and see you. But at the end of the day, he's one of those coaches that the players just love playing for. And you know what? He's good in the media. He was a lawyer, so he knows how to what to say and not to. And I mean, to me, he's probably the best coach in the NHL. And at the end of the day, it's how he's never won Coach of the Year in the NHL is just beyond me.
Really?
Feels like he's owed one.
Coach
somehow.
of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe at some time, but he's never won Coach of the Year. So, I mean, I don't know, with some of the records and some of the things we've won over the last, 3 years or since 2015 going to Stanley Cup, 4 times. But, he's a really good coach, and he knows how to execute, and he's won at every level. So, you know what, it's not like he's just been to the NHL. He won in junior, won the American Hockey League, and he's won in the NHL.
Hey, Brad, I mean, listen, they're still experienced. They're still champions in many ways, and their fight again is surfacing. But has there been anything that stood out to you with their inconsistencies since January, and at times for sure the struggles of Vasilevsky? Is there one thing that stood out for you in the back of the season that says maybe it could creep up in the next game or two?
Well, you know what I mean. I think we've been dealing with this all year, guys like Nick, and Justin, and I mean, we played a lot of hockey over the last 3 years. I mean, you know what? I've been to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years in a row, won twice. I mean, last year, if we don't lose points, I think we win 3 in a row. He's just that good a player. I mean, Colorado beat us 4-2, but without, it's like taking Mitch Marner out of your lineup in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's hard to win. But at the end of the day, the guys have been banged up all year, and you know what, and they're finding a way to win. But I think, like I said, they've just played so much hockey over the last 3 years. I think it could be coming to a head with them, but they just keep finding a way to win, and they're hard to put out at the end of the day because they know what they need to do, and they don't make mistakes. They keep it simple. They don't like the other team. They don't let the other team. They let them make mistakes, and they capitalize on them because they're not going to make that mistake. And, it's like guys like you look at Plot playing for New Jersey. He's got a couple key goals for New Jersey. He was a big part of the team here in Tampa. But, I mean, you know what, like I said, Toronto's a really good team. I mean, can they get it done? Maybe. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be easy. The Tampa Bay Lightning will not go down without a fight. So I got a feeling we're going to Game 7 because I would be shocked if they can beat us 3 games at home here on Saturday night.
Hey, Brad, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you making time for us. Enjoy Game 6 Saturday night, and we'll see what comes of it. Thanks for doing this, pal.
You betcha, Kyper and Bourne. Have a great day and see what happens, and go from there. We'll probably be back in Toronto on Monday.
All right.
It'll be interesting.
Thanks a lot.
Former National Hockey Leaguer. Almost 700 games. And like I said, a real talented player, Brian Bradley.
I think he closed by saying we'll probably be back in Toronto for Game 7.
Did he give you, Sammy, a little bit of hope with we've played a lot of hockey here and it could catch up to us? No.
I'm tapped. Boys, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about the Jets. Let's talk about their misery. I can't.
Yeah.
I need to see one more hockey game before I give more Leafs takes. It's just it's so hard to picture. Like, he's right. It is so hard for me to picture them going down there winning 3 games in that building.
Well, Cooper did have some comments about winning 3 in Toronto and what an accomplishment it would be for Tampa Bay to win this series by doing it that way.
Yeah.
Toronto has the option to do it too.
What did we say the road team is? Like they're 5 or 6 games over 500 league wide. Like it's strange.
It has been really strange.
And now
this year.
the Rangers can't win at home. They can't win on the road. They're running out of places to play.
I think that's right.
I think
they
that's a Harry.
Shuffled their line.
That's a Harry Neal line.
That's a really good line. Their lines
remember
are
correctly.
in a blender for the Rangers.
Gerald Gallant's got a lot of pressure on him right now to win 2 hockey games.
I feel like he's had a couple of short stints. Like, if that doesn't go well, is this year 3?
Yeah. I can't.
Gerald Gallant, future coach of the Leafs.
There might be a price to pay if he does not find a way to.
Pressure changed quick in New York, hey?
Listen, they couldn't. Everybody was calling 4 games. We had our buddy Valley on who covers the Rangers for MSG, and he's like, everybody had like Jersey 4 and out
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they switched to Akira Schmid, and they've been very, very good. First team out is the Winnipeg Jets. Canada's own. What did you make of their showing their first round series against the Vegas Golden Knights?
I had Winnipeg imploding 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Like you could just see where the contracts were headed. And I had heard all that crap over Patrick Laine, like well before he got traded out of Winnipeg, on how it was just never a comfortable fit with him and some of his teammates. And
it's a show out there.
It just seemed like this team was always off a little bit.
Yeah.
And now it's going to come to a head. These big contracts, including Scheifele's, Hellebuck's, Wheeler, Pierre-Luc Dubois, right? All with a year left. And who's staying?
Well,
nobody really.
They're not good enough to say, they just need to build around this core or whatever. Like their star players have been flawed and they seem frustrated. The whole thing's tense. If you didn't hear yesterday, Rick Bowness, after they got eliminated from the series, took to the microphone and was very disappointed in his superstars.
Listen, I've been at this a little longer than you guys.
Yeah.
I can't ever recall hearing a coach like this when a series is over.
You're not motivating anyone.
Ripping on his top players like this.
Overall thoughts, I'm so disappointed and disgusted right now. That's my thoughts.
Where does the disgust come from?
No pushback. But it's the same crap we saw in February. It was. That's why so as soon as we were challenging for first place and teams were coming after us, we had no pushback. This series, we had no pushback. Their better players are so much better than ours, it's not even close.
What is it about this team's leadership core or the top end players? We've talked all.
We got to push back. There's got to be a pushback. There's got to be pride. You got to be able to push back when things aren't going your way. We had no pushback. Their better players were so much better than ours tonight. They deserved to win. They were the better team in the regular season. They were the better team in this series. Anything else? Good. Thanks.
He's pissed.
Hot. Coming in hot.
That is burning. That's burning a bridge.
It's almost as if you had one more game, that might not be a bad way to go.
Right. No games to go.
But when you're out, it serves really no purpose.
I don't think you have what you just heard if you haven't had it out with those guys already. If you haven't reached the conclusion, they can't be reached.
Cannot play with them.
Yes,
cannot win with them.
100%.
Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Is he done?
It's long.
Okay. Let the public come to that conclusion themselves. I don't understand,
I don't know. Who's he protecting? Yeah,
it's not even a protecting. It's like, what's the point? That's all.
People want to know what happened here. They want to know what went wrong from a team that was near first in 2023 in the West.
Yeah, you can do that over time a little bit here. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal out of it.
You're right from being a professional, and maybe he just is so mad at them he doesn't care that it's unprofessional.
100%. He's mad.
I think it just goes to show the relationship and that he had gotten through to them. But I think it's a rotten core. They obviously don't perform well. That's two coaches that have been exasperated.
Paul Maurice left.
He was like, I'm done.
Can't
out of here.
win with them.
Can't win with him. Can't do it.
So
that's as scorched earth as I've ever. He can't coach them again.
No, that's the point. I think that's big here is how do Scheifele and Wheeler put on the jersey and Bowness coaches the team after this? Those guys both have a year left on their contract, right? Bowness just signed. I assumed it wasn't a 1 year coaching contract.
You can't bring them back.
So then what?
Well, that's what the draft's for. You go there and you shop. And you can eat some money and you can find places for these guys.
Both those guys have no trade clauses. Could there be incentive? Could part of this be like, you want those guys to want to be somewhere else?
Listen,
to accept a trade?
They know they're not re-signing there.
No
so
kidding.
they don't need a push. They've already got one foot out the door.
I see, yeah. Yeah,
Okay?
next year is both of their last year.
They want a new contract. They want a new start. They want fresh. Obviously, with those clauses, they can be selective. But
yeah,
they're
both modified.
They're not part of the future.
No.
And Hellebuck to me will be very interesting because he's a year away.
Well, and you think he's going to want to play for a team that's not trying to win immediately?
No. No, I don't.
I think he wants to win a Stanley Cup.
I would think that there'd be a lot of teams interested in.
He might be the
Hellebuck.
next guy to get a real number as a goalie.
Yeah, it's so dangerous. And listen, they just. How many games did he end up playing this year? 65
a lot
with the playoffs. That's a lot.
Yeah, so he played 64 regular seasons, so 69 on the year.
That's
nice.
A lot of hockey, right?
Yes,
a lot of hockey.
Ton of hockey.
They wore him down.
Yeah,
but tell me that there wouldn't be some teams, maybe like
Toronto Maple Leafs,
Ottawa.
Yeah.
Leafs can't afford him.
Yeah,
I got news for you.
When they send Samsonov packing,
well,
maybe.
listen,
this guy might be worth $8 million a
what's
year.
What's he got left next year?
1 year at $6 million roughly.
Well,
it's $6 million. Am I wrong there? No, 4.5 million. Oh,
maybe Prindham can find a way to sneak him in for 1 year before the cap jumps, and you're not going Samsonov on a new deal.
We'll give you. We lost in the first round. Here's William Nylander.
Might be
I'm kidding. Relax.
Might be a little tricky with Matt Murray for one more year, right?
Yeah, great move that was.
What does he? No, but what's he have left on his deal?
One more season.
4.125
4.125 or something.
4.7.
4.1, I thought, but it could be 4.7. I think you're right. Actually, I think it's closer to. Yeah, I think you're right.
But that might be a little bit tricky, but. There'd be a lot of teams. Well, not a lot of teams. There'd be selective teams for Hellebuck.
Yeah, he's only 29 years old. One more year on that deal. I think he's getting a big ticket.
I know, but like how big?
Like 5 times 8.
Like you don't want to be.
Yeah.
No.
What did you say?
5 times 8. How is he not?
He's in the ballpark.
He's making 6. He's up for the Vezina. He's won a Vezina already, is he not? He's a finalist every other year.
Ballpark. I think
he's only 29.
I think it's.
He's one of like 5 starters on Earth.
Yeah.
I think he's an 8.
Oh man.
But
Bob got 10 a zillion years ago, didn't he?
You need to avoid the 10.
Yeah, big time.
Right.
And
Although
term stinks.
Although goalie Bob wins a couple more games in a row, pay that $10 million all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting tonight.
What else we got? We got Colorado and Seattle.
Yeah. We also have questions, right, Sammy?
Yeah.
So
we got texts and tweets. Do we not, Sammy?
Yeah, we got some.
Where do they call in?
They don't call in.
I don't.
Now taking callers. Text 59590 or respond to my tweet.
This is the part of hosting this show I don't really give a crap about. Like, get the message out.
Friday, yeah. We got questions.
This is just
tons of questions.
The perfect question that is on a response to Bourne's tweet from Aaron McCartney. I only have one question, and it's more directed at Leaf players than anything else. Why? That is all. Why do we get goalied in big games? Why do we let goals in at the worst possible times? Why does our goalie think his name is Ilya Hasek sometimes? Just why? Why? What's
the term again? Out-goalied?
Yes. If that's not what Leaf Nation is feeling today.
We touched on that, though.
Yeah.
Like it is just one switch. Just be a better goalie than the guy across from you. One game.
You know, it's funny. Like the Leafs have got 3 wins in this series. It's not like Samsonov's been terrible, but yeah, you're just now when you get to this point, you just want the one game to happen. But there's just no way to will that. That's luck. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. If I did, boy, would I be paid a lot of money by the Leafs.
You'd be rich.
Yeah.
Rich.
Yeah. I have the answer. What's it worth to you?
Happy Friday, guys. Maurice from Caledon. Now that Vegas is rolling, do you think they can roll all the way to the cup?
I'll say this. I actually think Vegas has a good chance this year because the next team they're going to play is, out of Edmonton, LA. Either way, really good series, right? Like, they can play defensively. Mark Stone's playing well for him.
That's an understatement.
Oh, God, how good's he?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He is so good. Did you see
He's
that
like
goal he
Ryan
scored?
O'Reilly with more offense.
He, I don't know, he batted the puck, and then he gloved it, and then all within almost one motion, he goes high glove.
And then he lost his marbles like he always does when he scores.
Like he scored for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
Which I love.
He has the passion, even though he doesn't play for the passion team.
How about this one from AJ in Richmond Hill? This is a guy that just wants some gossip, looking for some tea. Hello, guys. Does anyone know where Shanahan is these days? He's never shown with Dubas, Spezza, or
Wow.
Priddle. What's going on?
That's the second person that asked me that question today.
Yeah,
Like
you can't get
nowhere to be
press
found.
box shot.
You can't. He's not in a press box.
He's not in the press box.
He's going full Moneyball. He's watching it from the gallows of the arena. He's not being seen.
He's on the lat pull down machine somewhere. Just can't watch.
It is a little. There's been some rumored.
Was Spezza beside Kyle last night?
Oh, yeah, they were side by side.
Okay.
Pridham's there.
Now, can I make a small suggestion?
Yes.
Kyle, if you're listening, grab some security when you go to Tampa tomorrow night.
You cannot have that happen again.
Just somebody beside you that could jump in and drop the F-bombs for you.
It's like when you show people who are picking on you that something in particular got to you, and then you know what you're going to hear over and over and over. I feel like now that the fans know that Dubas can be had, he's going to hear it. So, yeah, he needs some help.
That's the thing. It's like when you go to a baseball game and you sit in the outfield and there's some bozo that's screaming at a guy and the outfielder reacts. That's the worst possible thing that can happen for you. Because then the whole game, it's like, you're just saying dumb crap the whole time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, for the record, though, Brendan Shanahan has not sat with Kyle all year. I know at times during the bubble that we saw them together.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened all year. Which
is noteworthy.
Does it have anything to do with anything else?
Well, I don't know. Like do GMs sit with the president very
contract
often?
negotiations?
Yeah.
I'd say it's worth mentioning.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a mention.
This is a great text. It's from a nameless guy. I hate when this group is 0-10 in closeout games.
Correct.
Wrong. 0-11.
Well, this group 0-10.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's a losing
culture.
culture. That's a losing culture if there ever was one. But the law of averages is on their side. 2 more tries ahead.
Oh, how positive and uplifting. Hockey is a dumb game and anything can happen. Couldn't it happen randomly for once?
One time, you gotta win one of these.
Like something off the ref's head goes in the net. And Vasilevsky blows a tire.
If they lose both of these games, they will set the all-time record for most losses with a chance to eliminate
in a row. Yeah.
In a row.
Okay. Let's just get something straight from here on in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens, no one's going to the demons under the bed or witchcraft or this team's cursed, okay? Don't go there.
Oh, I'm going there.
No, you're
The
not.
demons are currently
you're not.
present.
We're going on why they weren't good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
That's all. That's all I'm telling you.
I'm gonna
and if you want to go down to right down to the core of character flaws in their lineup, I will go there. But to tell me that it's this demons bull crap, I don't have time for it.
I don't have time for ghosts and cursed franchise. I do have time for people being mentally weak. You know, like that there are people who don't have the intestinal fortitude.
Character flaw?
Yes. But it ain't ghosts.
This is from my boy Jeremy in Meaford. There's an answer to all this Leaf-related question. It's simple. They are cursed. Cursed team. There is no other answer. It can't be explained.
just said
Cursed.
no.
Cursed. Like Spock says, once you eliminate all other possibilities, what is left, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. Cursed team.
Okay.
From my boy Jeremy and Meaford.
You're not reading those anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that he tried to use a hyper-logical view of complete illogic thought.
You just snuck one in on us. That's all.
There's a lot of comments on the Twitter machine today.
This is a weird question, but I'm going to throw it to you guys. Love the show, boys. Very random question. When I say overrated, who's the first player that comes to mind?
On the Leafs or
Just in general.
generally?
This guy says, for me, it's Dion Phaneuf.
Wow.
Oh, we're talking like historically?
Anytime.
An all-time player who's not as good as people think.
Yeah, it's... Got anyone for me?
Friday. Come on.
You're not going to go through my mental Rolodex of perceptions of all players.
right.
No, let me see. It's got to be someone based in Toronto, probably. Probably Matt Sundin.
Oh,
relax,
my God.
Relax. I was trying to get the most anger I could out of people.
Oh, my God.
Relax. I'm kidding.
Oh, my.
If Austin scores another 40 next year.
I'll take Marner.
Oh!
Hey, why don't they both play well tomorrow
That
night?
would be real nice if we come in here and we'll hug it out.
That's a great answer. All right. What else we got there? Boy, we're getting a lot of... Why do you have to find a scapegoat when the team loses? There are 20 guys on the ice. So why do you have to find a scapegoat when the team loses? There are 20 guys on the ice. John and Hamilton.
Well, you give us
It's called Sports Talk Radio,
5% of
pal.
the blame for everyone.
It's called Sports Talk Radio.
John's an X
House league
generation,
coach?
or what do you call the kids? Past millennials?
Oh, Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z.
Yeah, for sure. Participation trophies.
Don't point any fingers.
Sometimes you lose.
Something tells me John and Hamilton isn't a Gen Z.
Fair enough. You know, I bet it's interesting. Did you watch Giannis, his little spiel?
Can you find that?
No, can't.
So
no.
Okay, explain it.
Yeah, he's the best player, MVP of the league a couple times. On the Bucks, they've won a championship. They're the number 1 seed. They lose to the 8 seed in the first round. He's asked if it's a failure, and he says, listen, Michael Jordan lost more championships than he won. Were those other seasons failures? No, they're steps towards successes.
Yeah.
Not a failure, but a learning lesson, whatever. You're the 1 seed, you lose to an 8. Listen, I love the answer, and I love the depth of Giannis and the thoughtfulness and whatever.
But he's wrong.
It's a failure of a season.
It's a massive
the season's a failure if you're 1 seed and you lose to an 8. So sometimes some people get the blame.
So this guy, Trevor from Oshawa, I need to hear positive Sammy again. Let's hear about the eggshells again. We need to have faith. This is a good team.
This is like my daughter before bed. And she's like, tell me the story again. It's like, make me feel good.
You know, when we left out the door, the first thing you
God.
said to me was what?
That I don't believe.
Yeah, and then you said, I'm going to...
Yeah, I'm going to look like a real idiot when they lose tonight. Yeah.
And what did I tell you?
They're not going to lose tonight.
No, I told you don't need the Leafs to lose to look like an idiot.
It's a good point. It's a good point. So, should we spend 4 minutes talking about what the hell is going to happen tomorrow night?
Well, yeah. I'm going with the dog in the video.
Oh, love that. It's going
You're going
Corgi
Corgi?
wins and Leafs win it in Game 7.
You know,
when is that Game 7 scheduled? Monday
night.
You know, when Washington finally got through and won the cup, they had to slay the Penguins dragon first.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of their journey. The Leafs may have to slay the Game 7 dragon first.
And then they have to slay the other dragon, the Boston Bruins.
You know, you may have to go through.
They're just going to be
the
slaying
best
dragons
way,
all the whole way.
The best way out is always through.
This is going to be looking like a Game of Thrones episode by the time they get to the finals.
Yeah.
All right. So we're okay. We'll be calm even if they lose Saturday night.
Yeah, speak for yourself. buddy.
I am calling the Leafs to win on Saturday. I think they'll get it done.
Okay.
But
Good.
you know,
Good.
I really...
you don't.
Can I tell you something right now?
Yeah.
They're blowing it.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
He just
You can't just throw that in at 4:52.
The roller coaster. You can't handle the swings, kid. Sit in the pocket. Relax.
They're blowing it. Last night was the night for them to prove it's different, and they played the exact same game they've played for 7 years. It's happening, boys.
Listen,
get ready for next Tuesday show. Gonna be a fun one.
Oh my God, our Tuesday show after a Game 7 loss. I don't even know. I wouldn't even. What?
All the people that like love pulling over on the highway to see the wreck.
Yeah.
Will come out.
We would have the same number of viewers as ever, but it would be totally different people. Just people there for vindictive evil pleasures.
So here we are saying like we're not going down the witchcraft route, and I see on our poll on YouTube, are the Leafs cursed? And it's a yes, no answer, or ask me on Tuesday.
What? One of my best buddies is a diehard Leaf fan. My boy Dave. He's like, I got movie tickets for Saturday night and maybe Monday.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
BS.
How do you live and die with a team for
He's going to be that guy
7 months and then bail?
He's going to be that guy in the movie theater where his phone lights up like a Christmas tree to check the scores.
That was my pen that weighs 3,000.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like a anvil hitting the desk there.
You really believe that he's not watching?
Yeah. My boy
Not a
Dave.
chance.
Shout out. Listen, fellas, we'll see what happens. We'll talk Monday.
Saturday night.
Marner hat trick Saturday night. That's
Could
my call.
be-
They win 3-0.
Could be a good night. For
Yeah, it could have been a
everybody.
good night
Good
last night,
ratings.
too.
No, you need to save it for Saturday night. This is
Sportsnet wants
Canada.
that Saturday night.
Gear
Cash
up.
that in.
Gear up for 7, fellas. Chat on Monday.
All right. Our thanks to Doug McLean, former NHL president, leader of Off the Rails Friday, and Brian Bradley. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And like I said, you got a chance to give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Give us one more thumbs up towards your great weekend. We're out of here. Back on Monday.